Welcome to Taste Reviews Drink Edition. I'm your host, Derek Silver, and I'm back for another episode, another tasting review, another tasting. Today we got 2XO, Two Times Oak by Dixon Dedman. This one is their American Oak Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's 92 proof, 46% alcohol volume, and it's part of their Oak series. Now let's get to the bottle. The bottle is nothing special about the bottle. When I went shopping today for whiskey, I saw this one. It intrigued me. Why, I don't know. Sometimes I just go off a gut feeling. And this one intrigued me. But I was kind of thrown off because of the bottle. Like looks like a bottle of wine. It looks like a bottle of wine. It looks like a wine bottle. You know, I've seen several different bourbons and several different whiskeys with a bottle that looks like a wine bottle. And they always throw me off. But I was like, just go ahead with your gut feeling, pick this one up. So on the back of the bottle, they have a little description. Let me read that one. It says the American Oak blends bold notes of vanilla, caramel arise from the secondary addition of highly charred white oak introduced toward the end of maturation. These sweeter flavors create a complex balance with the spice notes from the rye in the mash bill. Now, like I said, this is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, so it was produced and bottled in Louisville, Kentucky. Now let's go to the website. The website has a little brief description on just their way of doing their whiskey. So I'm gonna read that one before I get to the specifics on this one. It says, welcome to the next chapter of bourbon. 2XO is an award-winning Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey brand from renowned American whiskey blender Dixon Dedman. 2XO, meaning two times oak, refers to the blending process Dixon pioneered where every 2XO expression has additional oak exposure. The additional oak interaction builds the sweetness to balance out the spice from the rye in the mash bills, creating a unique combination of intense flavors, character, and complexity with each expression. I feel like I should be doing commercials sometimes when I be reading these these descriptions. So now to the American Oak series, what we will be reviewing, tasting today. American Oak is the first blend in the Oak series, an innovative double oak technique where Dixon inserts chains of charred American oak into barrels with a moderate rye bourbon mash bill of 18%. Dixon will match the profile of each batch for consistent taste and character, providing an everyday offering. American Oak moves from sweet, rich caramel and toffee on the front to savory, roasted, nutty notes in the middle, finishing with a lingering, mild spice. It is very approachable and perfect for whiskey cocktails. Now, this one was released in September 2023. Now, let's go on to the tasting notes. Tasting notes. On the nose, you have vanilla, honeysuckle, caramel, citrus zest. Taste. Butterscotch, roasted cashews, nougat, caramel brittle. Finish, light peppery spice. It sounds amazing. It better be too. So that's all they got for the American Oak series. Now, let me set the notes back up, and we're going to get to your favorite part of the show, the tasting. Now, let me open this one up. I didn't pre-open it like I normally do because I don't like getting caught up with some of those little plastic that's on the top. But this one was just like a wine bottle. Just peel it off. Love that sound. Now on the nose, just from the cork, it smells amazing. What's coming off right now is caramel, Definitely smell caramel. Definitely the vanilla, the honey, and just a slight fruitiness. So it's matching up so far. Now let me go ahead and put the pour in there. Just like a wine bottle is narrow. All right, we're going to start with the nosing glass. Now let's look at it. It has a nice color, nice bronze color to it, copper color. It's a little oily, not too oily. Looks good in the light. Let me stir it around. Now let me sniff. Smells amazing. Just like I said, you got that honey, suckle, you got that vanilla, that caramel, and a slight fruitiness, which is the citrus zest. Now let's go on to the sipping. Offhand, I definitely taste the butterscotch. It definitely has a nuttiness to it. So that's the roasted cashews. Definitely taste the caramel. I'm not too sure about the nougat. I really don't taste, no candy bar or nothing like that. No candy bar with a nougat. So I'm not getting that yet. I think it's almost blending in a lot with the caramel. So that's taken away from really tasting that nougat. But on the back end, like they described, you definitely get that spice. It's not overwhelming. It's really light. The finish isn't long at all. I feel like the finish is real short, maybe medium, depending on your palate. But it's very light, and like they said, it's peppery, but it's not overwhelming. Let me take another sip. Yeah, on the burp two, number three, number four, on on that back end, that finish, you definitely get that spice, and it's fine for me, but it may throw some beginners off. You know, it's like drinking it neat, tasting it neat, sipping it neat. It's almost like taking a shot. You get that after effect, that burn effect afterwards. And that's why it's important to sip. It's important to sip the whiskeys. But overall, it's giving everything it described: the butterscotch, the roasted cashews, like a nutty flavor. You won't necessarily taste cashews, but you'll taste a nuttiness to it, and that caramel and that nougat kind of blends in together. And that's all in the front end and in the medium. But on the back end is all spices, that peppery, but it's really light. It's really light. Let me finish this. Tastes real. It's full body. It's definitely a full bodied bourbon whiskey, and I think that's coming from that that extra charred oak that they sitting in during the distillation maturation process. So we're gonna move on to the glass now, the tumbler with a splash of water. Every time I'm holding that bottle, I'm feeling like it's wine. Let me cleanse my palate. This is one of those whiskeys when I'm tasting it, because of that peppery, that spice on the back end, the finish, that I have to cleanse my palate before I move into one of the other glasses. So we're gonna stir this around a little bit. Sniff. I'm smelling more of that citrus zest. Definitely smelling that citrus zest and that honeysuckle. One of the things from the finish having that spice for me, because of my palate and how I interact with um, alcohol, whiskeys, bourbons, and cognacs, is that back end is going to have me burping a little bit. So I'm on burp number 5 already. So now let's move into sipping. Now with the splash of water, it calms the finish down. It's much more smoother. It's much more rich. You don't get that same peppery spice finish with the splash of water as you do neat, but you get everything else. You get that honeysuckle, you get that caramel, you get that vanilla, and you get that nougat. It's much more richer, it's much more smoother, it's much more inviting to uh, a beginner, somebody who doesn't like that burn at the end. Splash of water, perfect for you. And you get everything but the finished taste. Yeah, much more smoother, much more richer. It's creamier. Got a much more of a creamier taste, much more smooth. Um, no spice on the finish at all. So let me go ahead and get this glass together. The glass on the rocks, the tumbler on the rocks. This is also my end of the show glass. And let me finish this off while this sits for a second. Glass, splash of water, definitely much more inviting, much more smoother. It's much more enjoyable for a beginner, for a person who doesn't like that burn after they're drinking or after they take a sip. So yeah, I'm just still so thrown off by this bottle. I feel like I'm reviewing some wine. But let me cleanse my palate, even though it wasn't that much of a spice or peppery finish, I still want to cleanse my palate just in case. All right, tumbler with the ice, stir that around, sniff. Those are the 3 S's: stir, sniff, sip. So we already stirred, we sniffed, now we about to sip. Now on the rocks, I'm getting more of the caramel. Um, it's like a whole different taste now on the rocks. With it being colder, it's much more of a nutty flavor now. Much more of the nutty and caramel flavor. Like I don't even taste the butterscotch. I don't taste the butterscotch. I don't taste the nougat. I just taste roasted cashews and caramel brittle. It's like I'm eating some cashew brittle. And to be honest, on the rocks, I'm getting more of a alcohol flavor. Like I taste more alcohol than than Well, I'm not gonna say than anything else. I taste just as much as I taste that roasted cashews and that caramel brittle. I taste alcohol. Like this one right here on the rocks tastes like alcohol. So I can see why they suggest that this would be a good bourbon whiskey for cocktails. Because once you throw that ice in there, you're gonna need some extra stuff to jazz it up. Because on the rocks, it tastes more like alcohol than it did neat or with the splash of water. So 2XO American Oak Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. 2 times Oak by Dixon Dedman. It's not a bad bourbon whiskey. I've had worse. It gives you 3 different flavors, 3 different ways. And that's why I always say I have to have my whiskeys, my bourbons, 3 different ways, 3 ways, because you never know what you're going to get. And you don't know what's going to be, you know, aligned with your palate. So out of the 3 different ways, how I would prefer to drink this bourbon whiskey would be with a splash of water. Now, by me tasting it with it on the rocks, cold, and then having it more of that alcohol flavor, I could definitely see myself, and I will do it, make an old fashioned with this bourbon whiskey. This bourbon whiskey would be perfect for an old fashioned. Even uh, what's the other cocktail? The sour one. Damn, I'm I'm losing my train of thought right now. But y'all know what I'm talking about. the sour cocktail with the whiskey sour. Lord have mercy. Whiskey sour or old fashioned. This one would be perfect for an old fashioned on the rocks. Perfect. And you can even add some different elements with it by smoking it, which I will try as well. So I'll probably try that one tomorrow while I'm watching the playoff games. 2XO, 2 times Oak by Dixon Dedman, American Oak Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. What I would give this one right here is it's a good whiskey, bourbon whiskey. It's a serviceable bourbon whiskey, but I would leave it more for cocktails than drinking neat or with a splash of water or just straight on the rocks. This one would be a perfect bourbon whiskey for cocktails. Any type of bourbon whiskey cocktail, whiskey sour, any type of variety of old fashions, because old fashions is just not one thing. You can jazz old fashions up any type of way, depending on what type of simple syrup you got, what type of bitters you got. If you're going to smoke it, perfect, perfect. So, out of five tastes, I will give this one a 3.8 out of 5 tastes. Check it out. Um, it's a good one for cocktails, like I keep saying, and you will enjoy it in a cocktail because I know I will. This has been another episode of Taste Reviews Drink Edition. I appreciate you. Shout out to all the new followers, old followers, mid followers, front end followers, mid followers, finished followers. Shout out to burp number 6 or 7, burp number 7 or 8. Shout out to all the people who like number 8, 9. Shout out to all the new subscribers, the new yeah, all that. Make sure you like, share, comment, um, all that good stuff. Yeah. Um, I'm kind of surprised that this wine bottled whiskey. So I will make a cocktail probably tonight. If I don't, I definitely will make it tomorrow, and I will report back. I might just make a short for the YouTube. So if I didn't already make a short for the YouTube, it's coming up, and I'll let you know how the old fashioned go. I'm probably gonna smoke it. I think I'm gonna smoke it, and I'm gonna use probably like the applewood chips. But yeah, make sure you drink responsibly. I appreciate you. See you next week for another episode of Taste Reviews Drink Edition. I'm your host, Derek Silver, and I will be back.